Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. Today is Thursday, December the 11th. Cecil, you know what kind of mode I'm in these days? I am in the wake up, check the news, and see if we're at war mode.
No, that's probably the place where I think a lot of Americans are right now.
That's an exciting mode to be in again. I've been in this mode a few times in my life, you know?
Exciting times.
It's very exciting to check the news.
Interesting times. You like that? You like these interesting times that we're in?
No, Cecil. Dude, I'm so tired.
I am too. Every day it's a brand new thing that you look and you say, is that a war crime? Because that feels like
a war crime.
Well, I mean, could you imagine if any other president did the things that he did? And you could talk very specifically about the hijacking of the Venezuelan oil ship, right? Yeah. So you could talk about that. They literally hijacking is a great way to put it. Capturing is not. I mean, they hijacked it. They essentially hijacked it.
It's
right?
the craziest story.
This is hijacked by the United States government. The thing is like, if you were to add this all up and do this in somebody else, let's say Clinton did it or somebody else.
Yeah.
It's like a huge international shitstorm. Even Bush, in order to get into Iraq, had to fabricate a bunch of shit.
Thank you.
And get a bunch of people with a bunch of clipboards and pretend they're looking at stuff. And then you get Hans
they had to
Blix.
Frown and furrow their brows.
You get Hans Blix coming over, and Hans Blix is like, hey, no, this is bad. And then like, no, shut the fuck up, Blix. And then they go do it. So there's like a whole process that they had to do in order to trick the American people into attacking Iraq, right? In order to, and the thing is that they tricked people well enough, or the people in Congress didn't care enough to side with them, right? Yeah. There was people who sided. The Congress was like, yes. Where's that now?
Dude, thank you. Because this is what I wanted to talk a little bit about. And I'm going to read the text message that I sent you, which was a quote from the article, which is what Trump said. What I was thinking about with this Venezuelan tanker seizure, hijacking, fucking piracy shit, we used to require a rationale. And as we're like moving toward war with Venezuela, I've looked and I cannot find the rationale anywhere. And nobody seems to be as like unbelievably upset and mystified and confused. Like I feel like the rug is, we need a rationale, right?
There's nobody even on his side who's like, wait the fuck a minute.
For real.
And what Willie ran on was the president of peace. I mean, like literally ran on the idea that he was not going to start any wars.
And instead, we're posturing, we're sending, 15,000 troops and aircraft carriers and boats and fucking shooting missiles at fishermen or whatever the fuck we're doing. We're seizing...
Even if they are drug boats.
Even if they are drug boats. Genuinely...
Even if they are drug boats.
You can't just execute people.
It's not... We don't just murder people in the United States for dealing drugs. I don't care how much drugs they have.
Do you know what crime we do just murder people for?
Treason?
No crime. Every crime has to be proven, arrested. You got to do. We don't do anything without due process.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Tom.
It's except for this war shit that we do.
100% right.
But there's a couple of things, and I'm going to read what Trump said about it. But like another crazy thing about the Venezuelan tanker is it's not even a Venezuelan tanker. So that tanker was flying under a different flag.
Yeah. Different.
It was headed to the Middle East. It had Venezuelan oil in it, but it wasn't even their boat. It's just like around Venezuela with Venezuelan goods. And we're just like, and so here's what Trump said. Because like, again, I feel crazy. We used to have to sell this and persuade people.
You used to have to do politics in order to do this.
Exactly.
There was a politicking that had to happen when someone wanted to attack another country. There was at least some sort of show, right? We had to make a show. It's not that stuff had to even be remotely convincing, because we know in the past it was not remotely convincing.
It was not. But like when Baby Bush convinced America to attack Iraq, like initially there was not good, but better and fairly broad support for it. So like he convinced the people.
Absolutely.
He made a persuasive argument.
Absolutely.
He created the specter of an existential threat.
And then he went through the channels.
He got his Secretary of Defense, Colin Powell, at the time to go to the UN and pitch a lie to the UN. They did all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
They did all the stuff. Here's what Trump did. Here's what Trump said about this fucking Venezuelan tanker. So again, in case you guys are wondering, like, hey, what is Trump saying? What's the rationale? Why are we doing any of this? He said, as you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela. A large tanker, very large, largest one ever seized, actually, and other things are happening. Mr. Trump declined to say who owned the tanker, but when he asked about the ship's oil, he said, well, we keep it, I guess. It was seized for a very good reason. We can't, what is happening?
Yeah.
I feel like even kings used to say why they were doing stuff.
Yeah.
Now we're just like, we did a very big stuff. The best stuff is the thing that we did.
You have to have some sort of pushback. And the problem is he has absolute noodles in the Senate and in the House. And these people, I mean, Mike Johnson.
What?
I mean, is literally whatever.
Baby.
He is a jellyfish.
Yep.
You can make him into you could smash, he's a blobfish. You could smash him into whatever shape you want.
Yep.
And he will do literally whatever you say. He has no will of his own.
Yep.
He's none whatsoever. So whatever someone else tells him to do, he'll do. And whoever they tell him to protect, he will. And there's never going to be any kind of real inquiry until you gain control of these houses again. You won't see any regular inquiry. And you probably won't see it until hopefully Trump and his ilk are out of the office. If that happens, then you'll see, hopefully, the next person comes in and doesn't try to make it fair. Hopefully the next person doesn't come in and is like too fair, right? We're going to be fairer than fair. That's what happened with Garland, right? We're going to be fairer than fair.
How'd that work out for us?
No.
How's our Supreme Court looking?
We're not doing
Good?
that.
How's
Here's
everything
what
else
we're
looking?
doing. What we're doing is we're gonna prosecute them like they're actually crimes because they are.
They are crimes.
And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get somebody in there who's like, you know what, those are crimes, and we're gonna follow up on these, and we're gonna see if they'll pass in the courts. Because the thing about Garland is that there was all this slow roll to try to get everything. Should we do it? Should we? No, bring it in front of the court. The court will decide whether it's got merit or not. That's what judges do. That's literally their job.
Yeah.
So if you bring something that doesn't have merit and you get a little egg on your face after it's over, hey man, you got a little egg on your face. The problem is Garland wasn't willing to do any of that. He never wanted to be seen as someone who was going to be, going after people or, possibly be wrong in that situation. He doesn't want to do that. Well, you got the wrong fucking guy. You got to get somebody in there who's going to be a bulldog for you.
I feel like Garland didn't understand how fucking clocks work.
Yeah.
That's what I always felt. I appreciate being thorough and methodical in order to make sure that your case is a rock solid case. Like, I'm down with that. But motherfucker, the clock is ticking.
Got to do it fast.
You've got work to do. And that clock, it's not, well, we got to make sure. I'd rather get it right than what? Then do it at all? Yeah. Because that's where you ended up. Well, you ended up at the not do it at all stage.
You ended up with it in court, and then it didn't matter when it was in court.
Exactly. Because if he had gotten it done a year before, then we could have actually gone to trial. We could have actually gone to trial.
Huge deal. Huge difference.
We didn't. And so it just ends up fucking fizzling out and becoming nothing.
The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas.
This story is from CBS News. Jasmine Crockett announces campaign for Texas Democratic Senate primary. So, Cecil, we've been talking about Democrats doing more primary challenges and being more aggressive in the primary situation or across the country in primaries. How do you feel about the opportunity for actual success here?
We've been told a lot that Texas is purple. A lot of people have been saying that for years. It's been said.
Yep.
And every single time people get their hopes up about Texas being purple, it's still fucking red, bro.
It's red every time.
It's still fucking real red every single time.
Yep.
So I don't have a lot of hope. What I do have hope for, though, is the two people who are running for the seat, who are now in a primary against each other, seem to be two really cool people. James Tallarico, who's the person who got famous essentially talking about the 10 commandments in school.
Throw some extras in
12, 15 commandments. I don't know how many you got, but 10.
Should we have one about rape? No?
No.
That's fine, right?
Let's do 10A. But in any case, that guy who he basically got famous because he fought against the 10 commandments, and he's a religious guy. So he's like, don't do 10 commandments in schools. He's just on Rogan. We actually just did him as a bonus show.
Oh, really?
So I got a chance to listen to him for a couple hours. Seems to be a pretty smart guy, very religious, but also has a lot of, I think, really interesting takes. And it's a worthwhile conversation to listen to. But he seems to be the type of person who as soon as he found out she was running, he's like, welcome to the race. I look forward to having good, vigorous debates with you, essentially.
Love it.
Said. That's what he said.
I love
and then
it.
Aldred stepped aside so Crockett could run. And Crockett, I think, is great. I really do like her a lot. I think she's smart. I think she has a lot of spunk. Right? She definitely feels like she is the type of person who doesn't back down. She's quick. She's quick-witted. And I think all of those things are really helpful to somebody who's going to run in these races. So good. I'm not hopeful at the end of the day that this is enough. I mean, hopefully in conjunction with the shit that's happening in the world, that's enough to push us over the edge. But I am not terribly convinced yet until we start seeing some other polling numbers that Texas is in fact purple.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what gives me hope about this is I suspect, now this is just me speculating, I don't know shit about fuck, but like I suspect that Jasmine Crockett would not have thrown her hat into this particular ring if the research didn't show that there was a possibility of winning it.
You're absolutely right.
And I feel that way because she does very much seem like a rising star in the Democratic Party. As you mentioned, she's got a fair amount of, big energy and attention behind her. I think if she's thrown her hat in this ring, somebody has convinced her numerically, I hope, right? Somebody's convinced her numerically that there's a shot here, that there's an opportunity here. So that's what I am kind of hanging my hat on. I also just think it's exciting when we have these, big opportunities in these, what I think of as like marginal states, like states that like we probably would not otherwise pay much attention to the Senate race in Texas as Democrats. Right? Because like I would not have, I historically have not. Historically, I've been like, yeah, it's not, what am I? It's just, you're just picking what flavor of shit. Like, do I want corn in my shit or do I want peanuts in my shit?
Yeah.
That's when you pick the Republican. That's what you're doing, right? Yeah. You're having a shit sandwich. I don't really care what you ate the night before.
Sure.
You're not making it any better for me.
I'm still the worst part of the human centipede.
Right. Yeah. So I like having an opportunity to say, hey, let's push, because what I also think that it does is, as Democrats, if we bring talented, smart, energetic candidates into states that may be purple, may be on the cusp, even if you lose, I do think there's a possibility of forcing the right to move center.
What is interesting about this race, at least from the small amount I've listened to Tallarico, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I think I am.
Tallarico.
But anyway, the person who she's running against seems to me, especially because he's religious, seems to me the type of person who seems more center and also seems more adamant to work around party lines, to also go and talk to Republicans and see if he can change their mind, because he has to do that as a state senate, is what he said. Basically, there's no way he can pass anything if he doesn't get a Republican to join it.
Right.
So his whole thing is, let's have conversations and convince each other, because we both care about this issue. Let's figure out the best way to handle it. Sort of. That's his whole shtick, right? Yeah. And to some degree, I agree. If it's a low stakes thing that doesn't matter, sure, that's awesome, and lower stakes stuff. And I do mean like tax stuff, et cetera.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like human dignity stuff, I'm 100%.
What kinds of people are people?
I'm 100% not down with let's fucking compromise with people who think other human beings shouldn't exist. That's not a thing I think is worthwhile. Anything high stakes.
Let's make a list of who will not replace us.
Anything. Well, I'm gonna start pretty deep in the alphabet at J. So, but he seems to me to be a more centrist candidate, at least from the showing that I've seen.
Yeah.
And that to me makes me wonder if Jasmine has because she does seem like somebody who's pretty far left.
Yeah.
She's a black woman, both negatives in a state that one doesn't like women at all.
Yeah,
and two doesn't like black folk.
Okay.
So you're in a bad position there. So I wonder how in the primaries people will come out and what that's going to look like. Because if they're both running against each other, your centrist white boy Christian is probably just, I'm spitballing here, but probably going to carry a lot more votes in Texas than a left-leaning black woman. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean. What I'd like to see too, I'd like to see the Democrats when we're doing these primaries, I'd like to see the Democrats not create the tinder for the Republicans' fire. I think that happens a lot in primaries where the two candidates are sort of battling each other so aggressively that they just are like, well, now that I've sullied your name a little bit, like we can just pick, we can be like, hey, you're great. I'm great. I think I'm better than you on this issue. Let's talk through the issues and let people decide. But at the end of the day, we know that we want a Democrat, right? So let's not do anything that harms. And one of us is going to win. I don't want to shit in your house.
Has politics changed where that's no longer a thing anymore, though? Has politics changed across the board where that sort of thing isn't possible? Where
I think it's possible.
I think it's possible, too.
I think it's possible.
But I also recognize, too, that there is people see their team and they get really dug in.
Yeah.
And so I think like we're seeing a sort of more rivalry than needs to be in a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so I think that rivalry carries over into the demo. I mean, look at how many people listen to the show because they've gone away. Good.
Right.
That would send us the shittiest messages when we shift, when our politics didn't meet exactly like fucking machine down level to exactly how they thought, and how many shitty messages and how they would immediately resort to name calling.
Yeah.
They would send us the shittiest messages and they would be like, here's us and here's them. And that's how far left they are compared to us.
Right.
But that's enough to literally throw other people out who you agree with 99.5% of what they agree with. But there's like a tiniest sliver that you're off and you're like, you're inhuman.
Yeah.
We've gotten the shittiest. And there's people who follow us on social media who literally just type at us all the time. They don't even listen to the show anymore. But we live so rent-free in their heads because we disagreed with what they thought one time that they can't stop. They cannot let it go. That is their life now, right? That's not unique.
No, it's not.
That's not unique. Then that's people on our side. I'm using air quotes. That's people on our side.
People left of center. Yeah.
So what does that mean for politics as a whole? You know what I mean?
I do. I think I think exactly what you're describing is a politics of immolation. Like it's self-destructive. It's every time it's self-destructive. When I go out and I tell my own electorate is here are the deficiencies of character or politics or whatever that one of us possesses. And then how are people supposed to be excited if I've divided my own electorate in half? How are people supposed to be excited when the one they didn't pick, that they're like, well, that guy who I trusted told me the other guy was a piece of shit. Now, how am I going to show up on voting day and vote for that piece of shit? None of that's positive. None of that is strategically valuable. All of that is trash. I think we've done that and the Republicans do it like crazy. I mean, Donald Trump ripped his opponents in fucking half. Yeah. Like he basically treated them like, anybody who would ever vote for anybody 100%. That runs against me is the worst 100%. Person ever.
I mean, he called like fucking Ted Cruz a cuck on stage or something.
He did. And he insinuated, he said that Ted Cruz's father killed Kennedy. Yeah. He said crazy shit about Ron DeSantis.
He fucking talked mad shit about Rubio. Yeah. Who's his secretary of state?
And I feel like that has to poison the electorate to some degree. Now, I don't think it does it on the right.
Doesn't.
Because on the right,
it doesn't.
I don't think that the moral compass matters.
Doesn't matter at all. It doesn't make any difference. Done, who gives a shit?
Yep.
They would fucking elect the shit that leaked down fucking Gary Oldman's face in the Fifth Element. They'd be like, no, that's black slime. Let's get it in there.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think the right has not just a tolerance, but they've really shown that they see this kind of name calling, trolling as a virtue.
It's a virtue. Absolutely right. Absolutely
I don't think that they take seriously seriousness.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference, right? That's part of why I feel like a crazy person, because I have this idea that serious topics should be taken seriously.
I don't disagree, but I don't know that you and I are 100% normal when it comes to that.
You're probably right. Yeah.
I think that there is a growing group of people on the left and right who think that trolling and attacking and like really those like vicious attacks on people your side and others is perfectly fine and should be the norm. I think that there's a lot of people out there that think that. And I think
you're right.
I think social media is the thing that drives that and shoots that, like, basically tunes that up. So.
Yeah. I think you're right, man. I think it's cancerous, obviously.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's terrible.
I don't think you're wrong.
I think you're going to see, and you will see the more and more things pull apart, the worse off you are, because the Overton window doesn't shift left.
Right. Yeah, no, not at all.
The Overton window does not shift left because the Overton window runs on fear. And fear doesn't alleviate the more you fuel it.
Yeah.
So no matter what, it's always going to be right.
Yeah.
And so if you keep pulling apart, the apart pulls you this way.
It does. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I also think that just fundamentally, if your party, I don't think the party of the right holds as a value, and I think this is true because they're in part, I think this is influenced by the fact that they're faith-based. I think that as a party, they do not first and foremost require T with a capital or truth with a capital T. They allow for a different, like a different kind of truth, a faith-based truth. Yeah. And that means that, like, that window will always shift in that direction, right? Because when you're not operating with a burden of proof, then you've got a huge playing field, and everything in that field is up for grabs, and it's just slipperier.
I am hopeful, and I'm hopeful for a couple of reasons. One, I think that both Crockett and Tallarico are smart people who might be able to influence a good portion of Texas. So hopefully that works. I also think that some of the policies that Trump has created are really genuinely hurting a lot of people in the United States, and they're not going to get any better. It's not like he's going to somehow fuck his way into a better policy. He doesn't know how to do it. So he's going to just always keep fucking up. The thing about his first term is that he fucked up in ways that other people were able to mitigate, and the economy didn't suffer as bad.
Right.
I just don't think he has those levers anymore. He just doesn't. He's not as good, and it's not like it's not going to accelerate. So I feel like that is also on your side to hopefully getting her that seat or him that seat.
I want to do something. I know we got all these stories to talk about. I want to do something very, very quickly because I want to make sure to give weirdly credit where I actually feel like it's due. You know, there's a Trump proposed policy that may be enacted very shortly that I feel like I fully agree with. And I don't know that I've said this in the entirety of his first term and the beginning of the second. But like the Trump accounts, the $1,000, are you familiar with the $1,000 investment accounts for kids?
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I think he's doing it for a lot of bad reasons, right? So like setting aside that I think that the rationale for him is that this will wildly enrich a bunch of investment bankers on his side of the world, and that's really the impetus for it. Nonetheless, I think it's just a genuinely good idea. I think we don't have good social safety nets. I think the math of compounding interest works in kids' favors.
Anything that creates a social safety net is a good thing. I don't disagree.
When I was reading about this, I thought I want to mention it on the show because I don't want to skip the things that I do agree with. It's just that I never agree with anything.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
So when something happens, I want to give it some credit.
You know, in his first term, he tried to ban certain types of assault weapons. Did he
really? I forgot.
Yeah. So it was the Las Vegas shooting, and he came out and said we need to get rid of bump stocks, and he did.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I forgot about it. So credit where it's due.
They got reinstated by the Supreme Court, but
then there's no credit where it's due.
He did do that. So
now he's doing the Trump accounts in order to bump the stocks up. You know.
Oh my God, I will vote for Donald Trump.
stories from the Hill. Democrats flip Miami mayor's office, winning control for the first time in nearly 30 years. I think it's a big deal.
Well, and I think they're talking in this article very specifically about Hispanic populations too. And they're showing how bad he is doing in those populations because of the things that he's enacting. They thought he was going to go after what they thought were criminals.
Right.
He has a different definition of what criminal is, right? Criminal entering the country is not necessarily a criminal because you're allowed to ask for refugee status even if you break the law to get in. Well, now, I mean, shit, you don't even get refugee status even if you do it right.
Yeah,
right?
there's no right anymore.
There is no right. They've created a system where that doesn't even exist anymore. So I think that they're seeing this as a huge slap in the face to their community, and he lied to them. He just flat out lied to them. And so this particular area has a larger Hispanic population, and they talk about very specifically how tough it is for people to get in and Democrats to get in. And I wanted to make sure we talked about this because there's gonna be, hopefully we can talk about bright spots from now until then, because I think it's important to bring these up, that it's not all just falling apart.
No, it's funny because there is a crisis. I do believe there's a crisis of leadership in the Democratic Party, but nonetheless, the people are out there saying, hey, I can't vote right. Yeah. And again, you can only have two real choices. Yeah. And we're starting to see, I mean, like, look at the wins. Our loss in Tennessee was an expected loss, but it was 20 points better. 20 points better.
That's the thing.
Mamdani wins in New York. You know, there was always going to be a Democrat, but to have a Democratic socialist win in New York, I think it's a big deal.
Huge deal.
Miami, first time in 30 years. The special election, the off-year elections in 2025 that just happened like a few weeks ago, a clean sweep to the left.
Yeah.
Clearly things are going to get worse.
Yeah, it's not like they're going to get better.
There's no way between now and 2026 things are going to get any better. Trump just had to spend billions of dollars bailing out farmers who are eating shit because of course they were.
Yeah.
There was no chance they weren't. They ate shit the first time and we had to bail them out.
They knew what the snake was. They still fucking voted for him.
They pick them up?
People are so fucking stupid.
I really do I don't want to I told you so forever, but and I want to have my arms open and say welcome. I'm glad you figured it out because I'm glad you figured it out. Not everybody figures it out the same. I don't think the farmers did, but I'm saying like the Hispanic population of Miami.
Yeah, sure. I think some people are going to figure it out. And I'm happy to welcome those people over to vote for somebody who's sane, and also be quiet with some of your craziest policies. I don't want to hear about them.
Dude,
like shut the fuck up about them. Stop trying to pull this party to the fucking center.
Yeah.
But in any case, I think like there is a group of people out there that even when like Trump is literally opening his ass cheeks and farting in their mouth, they're just man. I don't care.
I had a conversation over the last week with somebody that I know is a little further to the right than any of the other people I typically interact with. And they live in North Carolina. And I was chatting and, they're like, oh, yeah, well, everything is still fucked up from Hurricane Helene up in Asheville and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, well, because we fucking canceled most of the fucking federal aid up there.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, they're waiting, for funds to come through. They're not going to come through.
What do you mean?
What do you mean they're waiting? What are you waiting for? When you cancel something, it isn't happening later.
Spent that on a jet for Kristi Noem.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I mean, she's flying in your house.
Dude, now. The FBI is busy driving Kash Patel's girlfriend's friends around. Are you kidding?
Important. What are you kidding me? He's got to get his jumpsuit, too.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not going to get the vaccine, then die. What do we do, argue with you? I'm not on the debate team. This isn't mock trial. Aren't you worried about the side effects? I'm worried about the disease. Well, they're tracking you through the microchip. They're tracking you through the phone you're watching this on. Get the vaccine.
New York Times, House Democrat seeks to impeach Kennedy for undercutting public health. The move by Representative Haley Stevens, a Michigan Democrat who's running for Senate, does not have the support of her party's leaders and is all but certain to fail, is a hell of a subheading.
It's great that this big thing, and then you look at the subheading, and you're like, womp, womp.
Hey, can we have a tuba sound when it says listen to this article?
Oh, it's so funny. But look, here's the thing. those are impeachable offenses. It's not like they're not impeachable offenses. He's the worst. He is the fucking worst. Yeah. He's bad at his job. We're seeing surges of measles across the country.
Literally this morning, New York Times, hundreds of people are now quarantined. I forgot what state.
Oh, why are you quarantining them? Isn't measles good for you?
Fucking measles, man.
Shouldn't you just get that? Like, dude, get it and then just like, I got it. Now I'm good. Hey, isn't that how it works?
This ain't that contagious, right?
Isn't that how it works? Isn't that? I mean, and it's really good for your immune system, especially later in life. Like it fucking revs that shit up. It's like fucking. You put the nos in your fucking in your veins when you get the measles, right? Because that's the good shit. That's the real shit,
man.
That's the real.
Give me
shit.
that measles.
Yeah, that's the real shit.
I'm stronger because I got sick. Said nobody.
Bullshit. I don't need any of that stuff. I need the real stuff. Fucking idiots. It's amazing.
God.
The worst part is it's mostly kids that suffer because their parents are fucking stupid. I just wish you could be like, I wish that there was somebody who could just snap their fingers and be like, now your parents have it. You never had it. And just snap your fingers and then it goes away from them and goes into their stupid fucking parents.
Yes.
And they have to deal with it.
What makes me insane about this is that for the most part, the parents have been vaccinated.
They're immune.
Because they got vaccinated when they were kids and when the fucking vaccination rate was like in the high 90s, which is why we had eradicated measles from the United States entirely. So there's these parents who are entirely personally protected, who are putting all of these kids at risk. And then they've got this fucking disease with like a fucking R0 value of like 18. You're like, measles, like if somebody has measles in an elevator an hour before you walk in it, there is an 80-some% chance you catch the measles, or at least are exposed to it.
It can get exposed to it from a railing.
Dude, it's insanely contagious. It wildly.
And don't even get me started on the butt plug thing, because you can really get it from that.
Well, when you lick them like that.
Gotta hang a sign at the glory hole. Yeah. But
God,
seriously,
it's crazy.
Seriously though, like why quarantine them? Right? Yeah, I mean, if it's not a big deal and you have fucking chicken pox parties and any of this shit, why do you fucking care? Yeah. Why wouldn't you just be like, no, fucking class is in session. We don't need to fucking vaccinate from that. Why should we even protect ourselves from it? Why should we even notice it? Why should we do anything? Why should you get fucking hospital care? You don't care about it. You didn't care about it enough to get a tiny little stick in the arm. Why the fuck do you care now?
Dude, I know. The hypocrisy and the cognitive dissonance that is held by these folks is just fucking mind-boggling. Yeah. It's mind-boggling. These are the same people who, if they get big sick, they show up to the hospital.
In a minute.
Right?
In a minute.
These are people who have, like every other person, for the most part, they go to the doctor and they have a prescription for this and a prescription for that. So they walk around already trusting in a system to provide care at a certain level for them. And then they separately segregate out this technology they flatly do not understand. They flatly don't understand. When you said, why are they quarantining them? I immediately was like, you know what I wonder? I wonder if enough people get sick with the measles, if there will be an outcry against quarantining people with the measles.
No, you're probably not wrong.
Because these are the same, like the fucking Venn diagram is a circle here for people that didn't want to wear masks during COVID, right? It's a fucking circle.
Yeah.
So you know those people are gonna be like, you're restricting my freedoms.
Look at
and
those,
they're gonna walk around and cough into each other's fucking open mouths.
Look at those people who were freaking out over they would have a loved one go in with COVID. Mm-hmm. That loved one would be sick and need to get on ventilation because that's the only way to save them. And they would say, you're killing the person who's in here. You're gonna kill them. Right. You're killing them, and now you want to kill them with this ventilation stuff when you put them on the vent or whatever.
And you've got somebody who's clearly struggling to breathe. Yeah. What do your eyes tell you?
These people have no idea what they're talking about, but they think they're smarter than the doctors.
Yeah.
And that's what fucking RFK is. He thinks he's smarter than anybody else in the room. He's a narcissist like the rest of these people are.
Absolutely, man.
FBI, open up!
I love this from ProPublica.
Figured you'd like this.
Trump's own mortgages match his description of mortgage fraud, records reveal. The Trump administration has argued that Fed board member Lisa Cook may have committed mortgage fraud by declaring more than one primary residence on her loans. We found Trump once did the very same thing that he called deceitful and potentially criminal.
Crazy.
So, like, it's just a quick piece of background. When you apply for a loan, and you have to declare what that property will be used for. Is it going to be your primary residence, a secondary residence? Is it going to be used for an investment property or other purpose? And depending on what you say, the bank may give you, or almost certainly is going to give you, a very different interest rate. And that is because the risk profile for somebody getting a loan on their primary residence is always statistically much lower than a secondary residence or an investment property. Someone is more likely to default in times of trouble on a property they don't fucking live in. That's just how that works. So you get a preferential interest rate for property that you live in because the risk is lower for the lender. It is a not uncommon practice for people to say, yes, I plan to live here, and then immediately rent out the property in order to gain access to that preferential interest rate.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is declaring an intention. Yeah. Now, in many sets of documents, I've read a lot of mortgage documents for my job. So in a lot of documents, but not all, depends on your loan type, you also have to sign, I intend to live here and will live here for a period of at least 1 year.
And if I don't,
I got to let you know.
You got to paddle me with a very specific paddle. Yeah.
And that
it's like a deed. It's like they roll the deed up. They swat your behind. Actually, if you swatted somebody with the mortgage paperwork, you'd knock them out.
You'd knock them right. You'd fucking knock them dead.
It's like thicker than that book. Are you kidding me?
Ridiculous. So, like, but it's not uncommon for people to just say, like, of course I intend, winkety face, to live on this property, but they never fucking intend to live on it. And Trump's done this, like a lot of property investors have done it. It's
unethical.
Lying.
Unethical.
It is fraud. It's
unethical.
lying. It just is.
How dare you?
The difference between
Tom would do this.
How dare me?
I would not do this.
You wouldn't do this.
The difference between us is I would never do this.
You would
never occur to me to do this. If they asked me a question, I would say, "Do you promise?" I would say, "Of course I promise," and then I would keep my promise. What would you do, Tom? Would you do this?
I would know. I would do this. Here's the thing. I would do this in a second. I would do this in a fucking New York minute. And
here's the thing, audience. Tom is the devil on your shoulder.
I would 100% do this.
Angel on your shoulder.
That is not untrue.
I just want you to know that's who you should be making those choices on who you listen to. But we have an atheistic audience who's not afraid of devils. So they're okay listening to you most of the time.
Well, but here's the thing, audience. Cecil's life has gone objectively better. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, come on.
I would do this, but I would do this in part because, like, I understand how these loan programs work, and I understand that they're going to put documents in front of me, and whether I'm going to say I intend or whether I'm going to say I'm going to.
Yeah, there's a difference between intend and prove that you will. Right. And
I would never sign documents that where I had to sign that says I'll live here for a fucking year.
Yeah.
And then not live there. No fucking way.
Right,
because you risk the lender calling your note.
Sure. Yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't run that risk.
Of course. Yeah.
For the most part, there's a certain amount of sort of lying that's baked into the risk profile too. The thing that I think is worth saying too, for Lisa Cook.
There's also a bunch of other stuff that's lying that's built in. Like the people who appraise based on the value of your loan rather than the value of your house. The people, there's a lot of other things that are in the system that they say aren't in the system, right?
Right.
They're not allowed to do that. And then they're like, oh, winky face, I totally do that every time. So there's a lot of that built right in.
Like Lisa Cook, what I think is interesting about Lisa Cook is when I read about this in a number of places, Lisa Cook explicitly wrote emails to her loan officer saying, hey, this is not my primary residence.
And he's like, don't worry.
I think this was a paperwork error on the loan officer's part.
Oh, you think it was a paperwork error? Or do you think he was like, well, I don't care. I'm going to do the thing that's...
I don't know. But from the borrower standpoint, she does not... There's no evidence at all that she intended to lie, to deceive. Very much the opposite. She told her loan officer in writing on more than one occasion.
This should be thrown out then immediately.
Well, that's why
it hasn't been brought.
That's why it wasn't prosecuted.
Yeah.
So
it would be thrown out immediately by any judge with any kind of character.
Right. So, and like, she did sign a loan application that says that it was a primary residence. So that's why she got in trouble. But like, nobody reads their documents. Nobody. We get an email from the one fucking guy who read your loan documents, and I'm going to write you right back and say, no, you didn't.
Two nasty looking switches over here, but I'm not going to be the first. Damn your eyes! Too late.
This story comes from MS Now. Kash Patel ordered FBI detail to give girlfriend's pal
Not even his
a
girlfriend.
lift home.
It's not even his girlfriend. It's like her friend, and then there's another one here, Tom.
Huffington Post. Kash Patel hits back at humiliating report that he demanded an FBI raid jacket.
Both of these are amazing.
This guy, it brings the most little dick energy to the FBI of anybody in all the fucking history of the FBI, man. All right, so Cecil brought up on screen, if you're just listening and you're not watching, what looks to be a crayon drawing of Kash Patel with a special emphasis on his wonky fucking gaze here.
Okay, someone had said when they saw this, they weren't sure if it was AI generated or not. And I don't know.
I don't know
can't
either.
Tell.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like a crayon drawing. I'm not saying this is out of the realm of possibility for someone to actually draw. Probably isn't actually all that hard for a human being to do this.
Sure.
So I'm not saying, but I might
Your wife
also
could whip this up in 20 seconds.
might also be that it is AI generated. So
Sure,
I just want
right.
people to know that I can't be 100% sure. But I will say it was one of the funnier things I saw this week when somebody said the Kash Patel's name. And I was like, oh, that's real funny. Because it looks amazing. It looks perfectly just like him. Kash Patel he's one of these guys that is clearly a fucking grifter, right?
Yeah, man.
So he's been a grifter for a long time. And one of the things that he did was he wrote a children's book or a series of children's books, very specifically about Trump. And he's a sycophant.
Yes.
So what happened was that he was rewarded for his sycophancy. Trump saw him and thought, this is a person who I should reward, gave him a job that he is utterly unqualified to do. He was in the past an agent, but like he doesn't have the ability, just because it'd be like in somebody in your position, just because you know how to like do a very specific thing with a mortgage doesn't mean you can run the company.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Different skill sets.
It's a different skill set. So this just because you were an agent doesn't mean you understand the breadth of being able to handle every agent in the United States. It just doesn't, and that's not how it works. So I think the thing that people need to remember is that he's not qualified to do his job. And he's also doing things that other people have already been fired for. So they bring up in one of these stories, they bring up very specifically, Bill Clinton had someone named Sessions, not Jeff Sessions, a different Sessions, who was essentially using the FBI private jet and the money and the travel stuff as like a slush fund to go travel. And so Clinton was like, get that guy out of here.
Right.
He's fucking fired. And so he fired him. This person is doing essentially the exact same thing. That's what Kash is doing. Kash has been doing it since the beginning. Kash has looked out of his depth. Every time he's questioned, he is immediately combative.
To be fair, he's 3 feet tall, so it's easy for him to be out of
Got to
depth.
look up over that desk, and he's really got to lean. He's got to look up on the. It's like they're fucking like they're grilling an Oompa Loompa. That's what it looks like. It's
I'll see you over the Rainbow Bridge or whatever he
fucking
said.
insane. He's got to take like a fucking grape pill so he gets all big and floats up high enough for them to see. But it's embarrassing. It's genuinely embarrassing. And this is the most important police force in the United States. It's the most important one. And he's a clown car of bullshit. He's trying to legitimize himself very specifically by looking the part and he's not doing anything to be the part. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And like you bring something up, I'm curious what your take on this is, because as you're talking, and the last thing you said too, like he's trying to legitimize himself, but I think there's a tension here that can never be resolved. And I wonder what these guys think of it. So what I mean is like, most of the people working for the Trump administration have been appointed to their jobs, not because they are qualified, but specifically because they are spineless yes people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think to myself, well, if I wanted to be the director of the FBI, which I don't, but if I wanted to be the director of the FBI, one of the things that might appeal to me about that job is being powerful.
Yeah.
But I would have to recognize that, in fact, I am not powerful. If I am put into the position of being the FBI director, but I know that I don't really have any autonomy because what I am really is a puppet of this other person, then the thing that attracts me to that job, I don't have. which is power. You can't have power without autonomy. So if you are just a sycophantic puppet willing, and you're making yourself like available to be used by somebody else, I actually am kind of confused what you get out of it, or if you just don't understand your situation. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I think you look at it from a very different perspective than a sycophant would. I think the sycophant automatically understands where the power comes from, but if they can wield it in place of that person,
I see what you mean.
They recognize that that's still power. And I think that they also very much want the popularity of the position without the responsibilities of that position. So to them, they're very happy to be a figurehead in that position, because to them, they didn't want the job in the first place. What they wanted was the jet and be able to stand up in front of people and pretend like you're going to see somebody in Valhalla, brother, or whatever. Oh my God,
I know.
That's what they wanted. They wanted that moment.
That makes sense.
I recognize you are a very different person who are like, if I wanted power, why wouldn't I just want the power? They know they'll never get the power.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. When you say it, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, well, they want access.
Yeah.
But they don't associate control with power the same way that I do. But yeah.
The same way that a person who thinks about it would.
Right.
They never thought about it.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was very, like, as soon as you said, I'm like, I don't, what do you get out of this?
Yeah.
Everybody knows you're a bullshit piece of shit, sycophant puppet. Like, who fucking respects you?
And the thing is your side knows it and our side knows it. Everybody knows it.
Right.
I just don't think they care.
But I think that you're right, because there's plenty of starfucker dipshits who are attracted to that sort of wielding of power. The exercise of power is more important than the sort of genesis from which the power stems, right?
Yeah.
So, and starfucker dipshits will latch on to Kash Patel, and they'll see him as somebody who exercises power and is therefore powerful, despite not having any autonomy.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
I never thought of it that way until you said it. You know? Yeah.
Someday.
This is from Huffington Post. Damning new poll. Americans say cost of living is worse they can remember.
It is bad.
So bad.
It's so bad.
It's egregious. I was having this conversation. I had a holiday lunch with the people I work with yesterday, and I was having a conversation. And the numbers in my industry, which is housing, and housing is the thing people spend the majority of their money on. So it's the largest bill anybody is going to have in their monthly expenditures. And 75, there's a new numbers that came out. 75% of homes in America are out of reach to the majority of homeowners. That's unsustainably bad. You add that in, the average car right now, buying a brand new car, average price for a car is a little over $40,000 right now. Groceries don't even make sense. Energy bills in huge parts of this country. These are basics you can't, in many ways, you can't live without, right? Like, you can't live in big parts of this country without a car. Like, if you live in a city center, maybe you can use public transportation, but there's huge parts of this country you have to have a car. You have to have a place to live. You got to eat food. You need to buy fucking, heat and electricity and stuff. The costs for your basics are rising at a rate that most people simply cannot cope with. There's been article after article that's come out recently where people who are not married, who are just like friends, are buying homes together because the only way that they can find a way to live somewhere is for people who are not and like, that's super dangerous.
Sure.
It's like it sounds nice on the face of it, right? But one of the things that distinguishes a marriage from a friendship is there's a lot of legal stuff that lives in the background on a marriage.
It's rights, man.
And if two buddies want to buy a house together, boy, they better do a lot of fucking paperwork.
Get gay married.
Get gay married.
Get gay married.
Yeah, because there's a lot of protections.
You got to do something. You got to have some sort of contract, because if not, then something really bad can happen.
And you can't treat it like a lease.
Yeah, something really bad can happen. So yeah, I would agree.
But we're in a space, like, the cost of living is insane.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And it's getting worse all the time.
And it's not just that. I mean, you go to the grocery store and you see how expensive everything is. It's sort of eye-watering sometimes. You'll catch something and look at it and think, that's how much that is now?
Dude, $4.99 for a loaf of bread yesterday.
That's insanity.
Just a loaf of white bread.
That's insanity.
Butter not, butternut white bread, the regular size fucking loaf. $4.99.
Butternut's not even good bread.
No, it's just the bread we buy the kids because we don't like them. That's because all they'll eat. But like, that's $5, dude, for a loaf of bread?
Throw it at them like ducks. They just sit there and just throw it at them.
God.
It's
paddling around, quacking. Like, okay, all right, I see you.
It's their nose, they cut it. Their nose. Seriously though, like it's embarrassing, like how bad things are. And the thing is like what people didn't understand was that prices were not going to go down with a new president. They didn't know that. They didn't realize that. So what they thought was there could be some sort of steering of the ship. And you're like, no, the prices weren't going to go down. The only way to fix this is to raise prices on people's labor. The only real way to fix this is to increase people's money in their pocket. You can't fix it the other way. So when Trump goes away, now the tariffs are a little different, right? So tariffs are different. So imported goods, those might change very differently. Ingredients for imported goods into your regular goods, like your, maybe your Hostess cake is more money now because of the different stuff that they buy from different places. The chocolate is way expensive now, so it's more expensive, et cetera. So tariffs change that. But prices overall, those won't go down most of the time. No. So now the next person's challenge is not trying to contend with prices and trying to fix those. The real thing is to try to increase wages. That's going to be the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle that anybody is going to be facing in the future.
Yeah, I think if people are sitting around waiting for prices to go down, then they fundamentally don't understand that the Fed will not allow a deflationary economy.
Yeah.
They will not allow it. They can't allow a deflationary economy. That would be its own kind of crisis. So down is not what's going to happen. We're at a level, the question is not whether prices go down. The question is how fast do they continue to rise? And what, to your point, what do wages do in order to keep pace or outgrow those prices? We're not doing work on the right side of the equation.
Okay, due to this newfound evidence, the conclusion might be that I'm an asshole.
CBS News, Trump responds to traitor Marjorie Taylor Greene after 60 Minutes interview. What cracks me up is he's like, I can't believe 60 Minutes would even run this interview. You're like, that's how journalism be, dude.
He doesn't like anything that he doesn't like, and he thinks it's illegal. If he doesn't like it, he thinks it's illegal.
I didn't become president so you can say mean things about me, duty heads.
Can I say this out loud?
Yeah.
Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene forever.
Oh, I know.
Can I just say that out loud? Like, let's not pretend that this person,
thank you,
unless she does some serious things to change who she is, like fundamentally as a person, fuck her forever.
Yep.
Like, this is one of those people, we mentioned it earlier, the welcoming tent, right? We were talking about the welcoming tent. Oh, you fucked up and you voted against your own interests like a bunch of times and you messed up and now you recognize that that's bad. I'm willing to say, cool, let's invite you in to vote for somebody. I don't ever want Marjorie Taylor Greene to be the voice that someone that is trying to find the left listens to. I don't want her to ever be part of that. I think she's genuinely a bad thinker, a bad person. She has proven time and time again to be the type of person who chases after that stuff. Just because she stood firm on a few things doesn't make her a good person in any way, shape, or form. Now, she makes big strides in her life to, take back anything she's ever said about gay or trans people, to try to make it, change any of the bad stuff that she's done in the past, and also make strides to try to improve the lives of those people. I'm willing to let her do that. Yeah. And maybe eventually I'd be willing to listen to her. But as it stands right now, it would take so much work for me to think that she's worthwhile and worth listening to.
Yeah, and let's be very clear about her politics. Her politics have not changed.
Yeah.
What I think she's seeing is she's got a pretty good finger up in the air sensing the wind. And I think she recognizes that Trump is weak on some items, on some issues that are really important, that are going to animate a base. I think she wants to get the fuck out of there ahead of time. I think she wants to make a name for herself as a truth-telling rogue member of the right. But she is always a member of the right. She voted 98% of the time in favor of in lockstep with Donald Trump and all of it. She's not changed her ideological stance. She's still a hard right nut job, but I think she's sensing that like there's a moment here where if she is at the bleeding edge of the fracture, that's good for her.
That's great.
And I think that's all that's happening.
And it's a great way for her to jump off. And no matter how things fall, she benefits.
Right.
So if for instance she's wrong and MAGA is even more bolstered after Trump's term, or Trump has a third term, because then MAGA is even more bolstered, right? She's okay because she is one of those people who fractured, but they don't care because they're happy to have somebody who's also very, very right-leaning, but wants to hold Trump's feet to the fire. So they'll have her on OAN, they'll have her on Fox, they'll have her on whatever.
Yep.
She's a great voice. If she is somebody who recognizes that this is a sinking ship and she jumped off it in the right time, she's not only got a job offer at any Fox News place because she was a prognosticator, she's also got a job possibly as a politician in another time. Yeah, she won't get a job as a politician if MAGA stays. Like if MAGA stays, I don't think this is a good political choice, but it's not a bad career choice for her at all.
It's not. And I do wonder if part of what we're going to see, we've talked about this before, is a more formal fracturing of the right into an America First party versus some other version of the right. Yeah. I think maybe she's sensing that might be a possibility as well. Nonetheless, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the problem.
Yeah.
She is part of the trollification of American politics. She led the charge to drag American politics and the discourse and rule bending and rule breaking around politics deeply into the sewer.
Yeah.
And now she's like standing up covered in shit and trying to pretend that it wasn't her fault. And it's her fault as a person, individually and personally. And we should never, ever let her live that down.
I also think too, she did it very specifically as a token, right?
Yeah.
She did it and as a way to show that women are leading the charge against their own rights. She did it very specifically for that reason. That's why she was popular.
Yeah.
Implant all her thoughts on some random dude, and that doesn't translate. It doesn't play as well. The fact that she used who she is, I mean, that's like she fucking DEI'd her way into essentially getting a bunch of attention from that side because she was so radical specifically for her gender.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong at all. I think that's exactly the right read. And it's so funny how somebody like that understands how to weaponize identity politics, something that they decry all the time, but they understand that they can weaponize identity politics in order to say, I, as a woman, understand that women should be lesser.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to give space for everybody to be comfortable with that, because if I'm saying it's okay as a woman, then you get to believe it's okay as a guy. Yeah. You get to believe it's okay as anybody
and
in
it's
the party.
Embraced by that mostly male base.
Right.
And they love it. And so that's why she was so popular. Yeah. She wasn't popular because there's a lot of women who loved her.
Right.
You know, that's for sure.
No, yeah, because the right is just fucking chock full of fucking hateful dudes.
Mostly dudes.
Yeah.
And so you got mostly dudes who are like, yeah, she's telling me my own thoughts back to me. Right. This is perfect. And that's exactly who I want.
My thoughts aren't misogynist if a woman says them first.
Exactly. You can easily get away with blatant misogyny.
Yep.
And that's not just her. It's Nancy Mace. It's
Lauren
Boebert. It's all of them. Mm-hmm. They very specifically do these things because they know. And then on occasion, and there's even a story we're not going to cover this week, maybe we'll cover it in the future, where they're saying women in the Republican Party are now starting to figure out that their party's misogynistic. You're like, oh,
you just figured it out?
Pikachu. But you're like, of course, you were weaponizing that misogyny when it wasn't against you.
Right. Yep.
He's going to move the bloody lot of us before he steps one foot in the hay.
New York Times, inside the Pentagon scramble to deal with boat strike survivors. Officials initially weighed sending survivors of U.S. attacks on boats suspected of drug smuggling to a notorious prison in El Salvador to keep them away from American courts. More than once, we've shot missiles at these little boats, and people have survived 3 times.
A couple times they didn't because we came back again.
Yeah, that's true.
So
we did come back. So survive the initial attack.
We did it. We came back.
Don't you have to, real quick, don't you have to feel like stupid as the military? And maybe I'm just being an asshole, but you just shot a missile at an unarmed fucking civilian speedboat. And some of the people are like, nah, we're fine. You can't even blow up the whole boat. That doesn't seem that hard. I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to armaments and weapons. And I'm sure that like our listeners are gonna be like, if they sent an M22 missile with a payload of figgity fuck and hits a boat of YZ, density, or like, I don't fucking care. I just feel like shooting on a boat in the open ocean that's defenseless with a missile, and you're still like, we didn't get the whole boat.
Feels like somebody should have done the math better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there was a guy who did the math and he's like, oh, I guess we've been putting a couple grains too few gunpowder in each of these for too long. What is so surprising about this story, because you're right, we have had people who have survived these boat attacks and we've picked them up. And then they came to the United States, and then the departments were scrambling to get them out of the United States because they did not want them to testify in any kind of hearing.
Yeah.
So they even toyed with sending them to the wrong country. They're like, hey, why don't we send them to that Supermax prison where we send all the people who got detained by ICE? Why don't we send them there? Let's just get them out of the country. Because if they could get rid of them, then they don't have to testify. So that shows you the scramble that they do.
Yeah.
Specifically because they know they're breaking the rules. They know they're creating war crimes. They know they're doing really, really horrible things that any other administration would be dragged over the coals for.
Mm-hmm.
And they know this because they are trying to eliminate as much evidence as possible for these things.
If the government had really outstanding intelligence and evidence that these were violent narco-terrorists, which is their claim, then they should be thrilled to pick up survivors because they then get to have a show trial.
Great point.
They get to put it on trial. They get to have a spectacle. They get to have news coverage. They get to have transcripts. They get to present their evidence to the American public. See, we're doing what we've always said we were going to do. That they are so adamant about making sure that doesn't happen means that we're just shooting first.
It shows you that they don't even believe that this is true.
They know it's not true.
It shows you that they don't even think so. And so that would prove their point for them if they were able to gobble these people up and put them on trial like the next El Chapo.
Yeah, right.
But instead they're not.
Right.
They're sending them somewhere else. They're trying to get rid of them as quick as they can because they know they're doing something wrong. They know they're literally just murdering people because Trump said to murder people.
That's it.
That's why they're doing it.
That's it.
He has to pay for this somehow.
Everybody down the chain of command.
Yeah, everybody
needs to pay for
Someone
this.
Someone said something. They're like, they're just going to block pardon everybody. And maybe that's true. It's possible that he could block pardon people. But one thing he is trying to weaken is the auto pen, and there's no way he's going to get through it all. So if he does weaken it, we got an auto pen thing. I also think too, that also presumes that Trump cares about those people. And I don't know that he cares about everybody underneath him. Somebody, I think, will eat shit eventually.
Yeah, maybe.
I think somebody's going to eat shit eventually. Because you're probably right. He's probably going to pardon Pete Hegseth when he's done. When he's done, he'll probably pardon Pete Hegseth. But what about the other people who Hegseth sent that memo to go do? What about all those people? Is he going to pardon them all the way down? Is it teacups all the way down? Is it auto pen pardons all the way down?
Here's the thing, man. I think he only pardons people if he thinks he gets something out of that pardon.
I think so too.
Right? And I wonder with somebody like Pete Hegseth, what does Pete Hegseth have to offer after the administration's over?
Who knows?
I don't think Pete's got a whole lot.
That's why when somebody said that, I was like, maybe it's true. And I'm not saying that's not true. And also to me, if you could pardon somebody who has to take an oath in front of Congress, I feel like that's a fault in the system.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge fault because what you're basically saying is that I can pardon any war crime I want. It doesn't matter what the war crime is. I can do whatever I want because I can basically come into office, have everybody in my administration, literally they could just go to another country, just murder everybody there. And it wouldn't matter because after it's all over, I would just say, well, yeah, person's pardoned.
That's true. And if you combine the presidential pardon powers with the presidential immunity powers, which are just granted, you've essentially created an entirely lawless administration.
Completely, yeah.
I had originally until you just said that, I originally never really thought about this. I thought the president is personally immune from prosecution, right? Because the Supreme Court is shit. But now it's very clear that they can just create an entirely lawless administration as far down into the ranks as they want to go.
That's presuming that you can pardon those people. I don't even know if that's true, right? It might be that might not even be possible, that could be argued in court where they say you can't actually pardon those people because they made an oath to Congress on their own.
Yeah, maybe that's
about
the case.
their own very specific jobs.
And maybe it's also the case, remember, presidential pardons are only for federal crimes.
Yeah.
So it may be the case that they violated a crime.
It could be an international crime.
Yeah, right.
Maybe,
but
you know.
we don't answer to the International Criminal Court.
That's true, yeah.
So we don't give a fuck.
But the next person who comes in might say, we know what we're going to start doing.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be awesome? They just fucking extradite Pete Hegseth
It'd be
to
awesome.
the Hague.
It'd be even better if they made that announcement when Netanyahu was here.
Oh my God, right? He just fucking gets arrested. Just fucking zip tie his stupid wrists.
Roll that dude away somewhere.
God.
Put him in a fucking cell in the middle of fucking Prussia or whatever the fuck. Yeah, outstanding. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. We'll be back with a long form show on groypers.
Groypers.
We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter mommy